The best of the morning X. 99 X.
You know something, honey? There is a big game downtown.
For money?
No. Well, yeah, I mean, a little...
Billy! Are you serious? Are you seriously thinking about playing with my money?
Your money? Honey, you gave it to me.
To get a job!
I promised Sydney, honey.
You promised me!
I promised you and I promised him. I owe you and I owe him. I mean, I'll give you the winnings. I don't care about the money.
Billy, I don't need the money. I don't want the money.
Well, what do you want?
I want you stupid son of a bitch!
Look, Gloria, we can take these guys. I mean, they over the hill.
Yeah.
Look, Billy, you gambled my money and went through.
Honey, I promise you this is the last time.
Speaking of the peace pipe, Woody Harrelson was in the news. No, I'm not kidding. He did an interview, I think, in Jane magazine, where he said he would be willing to endorse a hemp colonic. Easy for him to say. You know, he's a movie star. He's used to having people blow smoke up his ass. But...
Good morning, X. Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy. We want to introduce you to our favorite tree-hugging, hemp-growing, bartending activist. Woody Harrelson is here. I don't know why. Why are you here?
Barnes, it's good to be here. I've always wanted to come on your show.
No Fram. Yeah. And Woody just popped into town. Have you been here a couple of weeks?
No, just got here yesterday. Hanging out with my old buddy Petey.
Petey.
You know, the one thing that he didn't mention, along with tree hugging and hemp growing, which the one that fascinates me the most is bridge climbing. Now, was it a year ago that you did that protest where you climbed up the Golden Gate Bridge? How high did you guys actually go on the bridge?
Well, I figure that was, my estimate, it was around 450 above the water.
That's not its highest point.
Huh?
How high is that in relationship to the rest of the bridge?
I figure we were about 200 feet above the bridge.
What, were you hanging a sign?
Yeah. Well, we were letting go a banner that said, Charles Hurwitz, aren't ancient redwoods worth more than gold?
But here's the thing. Now, when I think of climbing the Golden Gate Bridge, what was the James Bond movie where the final scene, they had the big scene where he chases down the bad guy at the end, and it is at the top of the Golden Gate Bridge. Aren't you terrified? I'd be terrified.
Yeah, I was a little more terrified than I expected. But, I'd like to say that wore off, too, but it didn't really... it was pretty terrifying. And then, of course, there was the traffic, and they were yelling up at us, and that was no fun. So...
You all got arrested,
We
right?
thought we were doing something heroic at the time, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But,
yeah, you went to jail,
anyway,
right?
Huh?
Traffic hold up. I mean, the whole thing
we
was shut
didn't,
down.
We didn't really hold up the traffic, us. It wasn't us.
Well, just people looking up to see what's going on.
No, it
probably
wasn't
stopped
even
them.
that. It was the State Highway Patrol decided to
They would
close
stop
off
the
lanes.
traffic. Gotcha.
They were saying, are you going to come down? No. Well, we're going to cut off a lane. And so they cut off a lane, and pretty soon they created a congestion. It was basically a pain compliance hold. I hate to blame it on these guys, because then when we came down, we all hung out a little bit, and they were pretty nice. I mean, I was handcuffed, and they weren't, but...
Mm-hmm.
You
still
were forced to
having
hang out for
only
just a little bit.
conversation. Yeah. We were
Yeah.
kind of forced to hang out, but...
And you've probably perfected the signed autograph with your hands behind your back. You probably know how to do that by now. Now, when they take you to jail, because you went to jail, right?
Yeah, I went to jail.
What's that experience like?
Oh, well, you've been there, haven't you?
Yeah, many times, Woody.
Come on.
Yeah, I've been to jail many times. No.
It's,
Is it?
it's no big deal. I mean, really, it was funny because we went in there and I guess it was the sheriff's jail. So a lot of the sheriffs and deputies and everything were taking pictures of me with the, what's that little thing? They take your picture.
Mugshot?
Yeah, the mugshot camera. So we were
They'd use that
all
as a
taking
little
pictures.
snapshot camera.
Yeah, and I took pictures with all these guys.
Hey, Barney,
and
jump in.
And they were pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't a bad experience. I was respectful of them, and I mean, all of us were, and they were respectful of us.
It's funny because you mentioned Mugshot, and last night I was, surfing the internet, and there's some great stuff on you on the internet. But my favorite is this mugshot from 1982 when you were arrested for dancing naked in the street in, was it Columbus or some godforsaken place?
It was
Jimmy, you
Columbus,
digging dirt
Ohio.
up about Woody?
Huh?
Did you see that?
Columbus. Yeah.
Columbus, Ohio.
That's actually a good picture. That's a good picture. It's got to be one of the best.
It's not bad for just getting maced.
Yeah. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I got maced.
You got maced?
If you look close, you can see the eyes are looking a little
Well, I thought that was something
crusty.
else.
Oh, wow.
real red, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To say that you've had
Black and
an
white,
interesting background, that's kind of like an understatement because, I mean, you grew up like with a lot of religion and your dad, or your parent, well, not your dad so much, but in your
mom.
house, your mom.
Very religious.
Very religious.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, there was an interesting dichotomy between heaven and hell in our house, and it wasn't hard or anything. Don't get me wrong; it was kind of fun, but I don't know. It's I don't know. Probably a lot of people have more interesting childhoods. I can't imagine, but
Yeah.
You've got so much going on. I mean, speaking of your dad, recently you were in the news trying to get him a new trial in San Antonio, and the stuff in the news about the Golden Gate Bridge. Movies out. I mean, you were up for the Oscar a couple of years ago. I mean, you're in the news like every couple of weeks.
Well, Barnes, I'm trying to stay in the news, man.
You're in the
That's-
loop.
that's
I do
what it's
whatever
all
I
about,
can.
dude.
You were in
We
the
got
loop.
married in January because
Right.
we'd been out of the news for a while.
So you figured
Now-
you'd do something to get
I
in.
thought
Is that an
might be
official
good for
marriage? Because for a long time you were kind of having one of those. We're not really legally married, but we're spiritually married. You
Well,
and
Jimmy,
your
that's
wife.
funny you say that because the first thing people ask is this a legal marriage?
Right.
You know, is this a real marriage?
Right.
Well, what entails a real marriage? That it's sanctioned by the church and the government? What do
Right.
they have to do with my relationship with another person? If we say we're
Take
married,
more money from me with taxes.
Well, no,
yeah,
but
I mean, what do we need a document that says 30 years from now when one of us wants to leave? Hold it, you signed this. You know, I mean, it doesn't work anyway. So why not just have our own thing?
Did
so
you
you
get-
don't
did you
have
ever
the
get
official.
official?
You don't have
Yeah.
the official document.
I mean, you mean did we take it down to the
yeah,
to
did
the
you go
courthouse.
through and pay your
Courthouse.
$6 and get the whole triplicate? And
It's
all
only
that?
$6? Well, hell,
Let's do it.
take
That's been
care
the
of it.
whole
We'll
time.
legitimize this thing right away. I mean, ironically, the whole point of it was just to try to get a little more respectable. So I guess you're right. We should go down and pay the $6.
Sure. So it's still
Yeah.
on the more of a spiritual type marriage.
I like
Then-
to think of it that
Okay.
way. Well,
Now-
really, we looked at it as a declaration of love for each other. You know, just that's to me. That's what I always liked about marriage. There's a lot I haven't liked about it because I don't think that you should necessarily have to sign some kind of document that the government says makes it okay. But I do like the ritual of all your friends hanging out and saying, "Oh, we love you," and that's kind of what it was.
Because in some of the interviews I've read where you talk about that, you mentioned, you just kind of touched on it a second ago about, well, what happens if in 30 years, do I have to sign a document that says in 30 years from now I'm going to still want to be with the same person? It almost sounds like you guys have some kind of weird open marriage. I mean, let's
What are
be
you
honest.
saying that he's
Have
running
you been
around?
planning to?
No, I'm saying that's what that
This
is.
is what he's driving
me-
at.
All right, let me find
But
a
how
quote
does
from
it?
you.
I don't see
What do you
how
think, he's
that.
Mormon? What do you
Harrelson,
think
I'll
he's-
find a quote from you. I'll find a quote from you.
He's got his little.
This guy's got a stack of papers.
He's got
15
his
feet
papers
high.
highlighted, little quotes.
Hey, this ain't no Barbara
Look at me,
Walters
I'm
interview. I'm
winging
not going to
it.
ask you what kind of tree you'd want to be.
I would never
Okay, here,
plan this
Woody
much for an
Harrelson.
interview. I would just show up.
Wait a minute.
More of this interview you don't want to miss is back in minutes on the best of the morning X 99X.